think we're ready. We're recording and live.
Okay, good evening and welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday evening. We know that it's a very nice weather day today, so thank you for spending your time with us here to learn a little bit about networking within the construction industry. My name is Emily Dixon. I'm the Director of Business Development with One West. And one of our programs that we have through the Business Development Department is the Plan Room, which is offering this webinar this evening. So we've got a great set of panelists for you. The panel will be moderated by our own Donovan Taylor, who's the manager of the Plan Room. And we'll be hearing from Tina Oken with Weir Construction, Stephen Tracy with Forza Architecture, and Walt Walker with Greeley and Hansen. We'll be talking about networking within the construction industry with primes, architects, and engineers. So thank you again for joining us for our Networking 101 webinar. I'm going to start just by introducing One West a little bit. We are a nonprofit organization focused on commercial and retail development in the West End. And so as a part of the work that we do, we're not just looking at buildings and places, we're also looking at the businesses and the people that are impacted by the work that we do. That includes everything from the tenants and other businesses around our locations in the West End, but it also includes the businesses that we work with in the development process. So as we work with contractors to do the projects that we're undertaking, we like to make sure that the contractors who are working with us have that ability to grow their companies as we are increasing the amount and the scope of the work that we're doing. So our business development department is focused both on retail and restaurant tenants, as well as contractors and construction companies that we work with in order to better facilitate the development of those companies and their growth plans. The Plan Room is one of the programs under our Business Development Department. And as I mentioned, it's focused on providing services for minority-owned construction companies. This actually grew in part out of our Young Entrepreneurs group, which was meeting the first Saturday of every month for over a year before COVID hit, after which we had some virtual meetings, but we're looking forward to hopefully getting back to in-person events soon. The Business Technical Assistance Program is a robust network of direct and referral resources for small business owners. And that includes everything from financing and IT to HR and location services if you're looking for a space for your business. And during the pandemic, we also offered a contractor conference series for minority-owned businesses that were interested in connecting with business opportunities in and around the Louisville area. And that, along with the Young Entrepreneurs Program, led into the creation of the Plan Room. We've also been working fairly closely with the Minority Contractors Association of Kentuckiana, both in terms of providing resources to them as they're initiating their activities, but also just in terms of making sure that we listen to and hear from the clients that we're serving. We don't want to have programs that don't do anybody any good. So we work a lot with the MCAK to determine what topics we want to cover, what types of advocacy issues are important within the construction and contracting community, as well as what direction they want to see from the Plan Room in terms of programming. So I'd like to turn the floor over to Donovan Taylor, the manager of the Plan Room, to introduce that program.
Well, oh, shoot. Again, Donovan Taylor. I serve as the manager of the Plan Room. I was a former board member of One West and a chairperson of the Young Entrepreneurs Committee that we can definitely pre-COVID, we convene on a monthly basis with about 30 to 40 young entrepreneurs each month to address local business needs and concerns. Nearly probably half or more of the individuals who participated were either in the commercial or real estate development industry. And from that, we kind of came up with the Plan Room, the creation of the Plan Room to give those particular individuals direct assistance on leveling up their businesses to improve their quality of their businesses to increase their ability to get on new contracts and larger contracts for, wealth. The whole overall goal is not only for business growth, but it's wealth building opportunities for our clients here in the plan room. And overall, the true goal is to just building a great ecosystem for our contractor community here in Louisville. The plan room is a business accelerator, and we are focused on existing businesses in the construction industry, and we're looking for minority and Black-owned businesses to improve their competitiveness in the market. The plan room has a dedicated, oh shoot, I'm so sorry. It's a dedicated space where we will provide education, training, mentorship, and professional services and networking opportunities for our clients. The overall goal is to build capacity and provide direct connections to business opportunities, provide marketing services via a centralized web space at our plan room website, and support a strong ecosystem, not only for our local and minority contractors, but for our overall general contract community here in Louisville and the Kentucky market. And we also, outside of our pretty much directing our services to businesses, we do have one program, our BIM program, is Building Information and Modeling program, that's really directed to individuals to give them a pathway to new career opportunities in the area of architecture and design. And so that is one of our programs here at the plan room. As I said, we have provided dedicated space for learning for our clients. We have a computer lab with 3D design software. We have a large blueprint printer for our blueprints for our clients that can come in and view those for assist them in their bidding processes and other services as well here at the plan room. Again, the overall goal is job creation and capacity building for our clients, building a strong entrepreneurship and sustainability resources for our clients, encourage joint ventures and partnerships for new opportunities. Oftentimes our clients are small businesses, and by joining together, they may be able to land larger contracts to increase their business. Serving as a resource pipeline and a network of building with partners. Definitely, we'd like to thankful for our panelists today who are our partners that have provided information and resources to our clients. And again, the overall goal is to not only to build a strong network, but also create a good network for income and revenue growth opportunities for our clients here, and as well as our partners and sponsors. Through the plan room, we provide business technical assistance for our clients, and that's direct for internal controls, professional services, banking and capital access, and certification and licensing, which is a big part of our group. We also have a construction manager here on site, John Hilliard, who was very experienced, that will provide our construction technical assistance for our clients. And the plan room is a collaborative event, and so we're not in this alone. So we work with a good group of partners and clients for our mentoring and networking, as well as professional services for our clients. Just really having holistic wraparound services that will provide just kind of holistic services and resources for our clients to really build their businesses and be of great quality to their clients as well. And like I said, and the whole overall goal is create a true ecosystem and pipeline for opportunities for our clients, as well as to our for the general contractors out there for to improve their overall businesses. Oh shoot. And again, we have various events and workshops. As we hosted this webinar, we host about approximately 2 webinars each month, and we have another webinar coming up. And these are just great resources that have been proven to be great resources to our clients and general market. We've got some great feedback from that. And we've also have do capacity and technical building, network and labor force, and conflict resolution as well. And we're also working with our good partners, the U of L, on creating a certificate management program for project management skills. And as I spoke before, we also have our building information and modeling program, which is a collaborative event with some of our partners to really provide a new pathway for getting individuals in the design, engineering, architectural fields. There's been reports that there has not been very much growth for artists, minorities in those particular fields since the 70s. And so there's a definitely need, and the BIM program is looking to be a successful venture to really begin to shorten that gap up. And so now I would like thank you, Emily, introduced to our partners, but I would like to then pass it over to Ms. Tina Oiken of Ware Construction. She is a prime contractor, and she will be providing some networking skills for our small and minority contractors on how best to network with primes on new business opportunities and growth opportunities. So thank you, Ms. Oiken, and I'll pass it on to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Donovan. I really appreciate you and Emily having us. I actually work for Ware Constructors. We are located in Lexington, Louisville, Bowling Green, and we have an office in Tampa. I'm the outreach coordinator. And so networking is kind of my complete job. I get to meet unique individuals every day. One of the things I want to talk about as far as networking with prime contractors, you have to remember that they are actually out there looking for you. I know we are constantly on the look for contractors that are going to be able to work with us. We have high standards. We work in hospitals. We work in churches, building colleges, schools, anything in the commercial, a lot of healthcare and hospitals. And my main job since I've come on board is working a lot with minority contractors, working with the associations. So as far as networking with the primes, I would say you first need to be involved with the associations. That's your first place. I have just been to a summit with ABC contractors. And one of the main things that stood out to me is that when you work with the contractors on a daily basis, you're building relationships. And as much as going out and looking for jobs, trying to find jobs to get involved in, probably your first focus is to build relationships. Getting to know the industry and the community that you're working in, that's a big asset for any subcontractor who's looking to work with prime contractors. Making sure, like for instance, with the Plan Room and One West, making sure that you have all of your jobs. I meet a lot of minority contractors that are just trying to get up and get involved and just trying to do the paperwork of becoming a minority contractor. I hear a lot of people, am I supposed to be seeing a chat? Okay. Sorry. The main thing is getting in with your associations and getting to know your community around you. I go out to subcontractors on a daily basis. I go to all of our job sites and work with the subcontractors. I go out into any place that I know that subcontractors are going to be, the associations, the outreach programs, such as yours with the Plan Room, looking for contractors that are interested in working, finding out what their problems are. We're problem solvers in this industry. So when I have a subcontractor come to me and wanting to do work with us, I try to work with them on a one-on-one basis at helping them find the insurance, the bonding, making connections. I always tell people not to wait, show up, be what you want, find the contractors that do what you do, and then get in touch with those contractors and they will help lead and guide you. I have a lot of subcontractors that come to me on a daily basis and they want to know how they can work with us. So I let them know what our standards are, our safety, what we require as a construction manager or as a general contractor on the job. And then we go from there and we work with what they have, learning what they need and getting them as good qualified contractors. But my main thing when asked how you would network with primes is getting to know the primes and getting to know what they do and the associations that they work with. I feel that the affiliates such as the Plan Room and I work with ABC, I work with NAWIC, National Association of Women in Construction, Associated General Contractors of Kentucky, the Minority Contractors Association of Kentucky, any association that's got subs out there that are wanting to do good quality work and are wanting to learn the ropes of what they need to work on these bigger jobs. Ware has jobs for smaller contractors and we have jobs for very large contractors. And we try to facilitate those contractors that work in those areas and to be able to assist them, so that my boss is real big on, if we do have a contractor who is trying to get in, we'll find smaller jobs to get them involved in and then help them with their insurance and different things that they've got going on to help them to get bigger jobs. Is there any questions, or is that going to be, is there anything else you need from me?
I mean, well, absolutely. When you said joining like associations and being involved in networking events, like how can a person even prepare themselves for that? You know, would they need to have business cards, have an elevator pitch?
Absolutely, absolutely. Your business cards are your best friend. You want to make sure you have your business cards. You want to go to your events. You want to, I always try to find, like, usually there's a sign up for the associations and you kind of know who's going to be there. Don't be afraid. If you're shy, you need to find somebody who is not, that can go in on your behalf. Because you really do. You need to put yourself in front of them. You need to reach out, let them know you're there. You know, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. That seems to be how it is with subcontractors. They want to know, primes want to know that the subs are just as into them and as are, I just had a loss there, but we want to know that you're just as important to us as we are to you. And we want to work with people who are not afraid. Ask the questions. If you don't know something, ask. If you call a contractor that you're interested in working in and you don't know who you're looking for, ask them what your need is and who would be the best person in that office to be able to help you. I just think finding the companies that you want to work with and showing up in the community that they work in, making sure you're involved, not just only for work, but there's community projects in your area that you could be involved with. There's always outlets. You have my email on here, and I'm willing to work with any contractors out there that you all have that are watching us tonight, that are wanting to get more involved or wanting more one-on-one. We are very involved at that level as far as making sure that our surroundings within our community of Kentucky, that we're reaching all levels. So if anybody needs me, feel free to give me a call. I'll be glad to answer questions and help anyone I can with anything that assists them. That's my job.
All right, I have another question, Tina. Would, networking with individuals, companies like yourself, primes, would be a good way for smaller businesses to find out new business practices and benchmarks in the industry as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you get hold, usually most prime contractors, they're the ones working with the government documents. Don't be afraid. Like when we hire new people, we tell them, don't be afraid to ask questions. That's how you learn, because we don't know maybe what you're looking for. So I like it when I have people that come to me and they're like, how do I get involved with We're Constructors? Well, you just made the first step. Then I ask them what they're looking for, what kind of jobs they're interested in, trying to find out if they're bonded, if they have bonding capacity. If they don't, I will help them and connect them. I have so many associations I work with, like yourself, that we will help you with the resources. And that has been my job. I just came on with We're in the last year specifically for this. We're is very big about wanting to outreach, to reach out to the subs that don't know, and to be able to help put those tools in their hands and to teach them along the way to be able to look at the jobs. If they, I have so many resources, like I said, to help them find out what they need to do the bigger jobs, find out what companies that they're wanting to work with. And if we know of them, we send them and introduce them. And that's a lot of my job, is working with the associations to make those connections and to help these subs, the minority contractors, especially right now, to be able to build that bridge between a prime contractor and a subcontractor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We do have a couple of questions from our attendees this evening.
Yes.
I wasn't sure whether each of you would like to sort of address these questions, because it seems like from the three different industry perspectives, some of them, or even from your individual companies, you may have some different answers to these. So the first question that's come in, what methods are available to connect minority subcontractors working on your projects with existing banking relationships that your company may have in place?
So, well, the first thing, as far as mine, as far as we're constructors, I know how we do it. Am I able to see that in there? In the thing, what we
Yeah,
do.
we'll just read the questions aloud in the chat. So basically,
Okay.
what can your company do to connect minority subcontractors with your banking relationships for your company?
Well, if they call me directly, we will find out what their needs are. I go on an individual basis here at Weir. We work with the contractors individually. So we would help you to look at what your banking relationships are, find out what it exactly you're needing, and to help you. I think that's more of a per sub kind of deal, because everybody has different needs. So feel free to call me. I would be glad. My number, actually, that's, yes. If they call and ask for me, I will get to get connected with them. I do a lot of one-on-one, and we'll find out exactly what their needs are, and that's what we're using. And I've tried to utilize the plan room and One West to be able to connect with them, to be able to assist with their needs. So if they will come in or call me, we'll set up a time and date and meet, and we'll help them on a one-on-one basis. Does that?
Yes. Thank you so much. You stay on with us because we probably have some additional questions for you, Ms. Oiken, but thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. So much.
No problem at all. Thank you so much. And we will move on to our next presenter, Mr. Stephen Tracy with Forza Architectures, Inc. Thank you, Mr. Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you all for attending this, and bear with me while I try to share my screen. I don't think I can do it.
Let me
Wow.
stop.
Okay, let's see.
There you go.
Let me try this again. All right. Basically, this was put together very quickly, and I started thinking about, when I was invited to this, how subs could network with an architect. And that doesn't typically happen. Typically, you know, you need to be dealing directly with the general contractor. And so with that, I thought, well, what has my experience been with people asking me, you know, what it is that you do? So I thought, let me just start with a very, very brief history explanation about what an architect does, because a lot of people, believe it or not, don't know. So I thought, if anything, this is a generic definition of what an architect does. You know, there's a 5-year professional degree that is required by an accredited university. And then after that, you think you're finished. You've got a 3-year internship working under a licensed architect that you have to deal with and go through. So that's a minimum of 8 years prior to sitting to take your license exams before you can call yourself a registered architect that can practice in the state of Kentucky or wherever you are. So I bring that up just to let you know, it's the responsibilities that an architect has are they're crazy, because you know, we have to know a little bit about everything, and sometimes a lot about certain things, and we have to work with lots of different groups of people and try to meet every bit of the project in a certain amount of time, just like general contractors, as well as at a certain budget. So it brings me to the next slide, which is essentially and I'm sure a lot of people have seen this, maybe not, but the subcontractors typically are under the general, who has a direct client, or basically a direct contract with the owner or the client. We are the same way. Now, it doesn't mean that the general contractor and the architect don't communicate, but in terms of general relationships and contracts, ours are specifically with the owner client. And then you can see the subs that are underneath that make up each team. But ultimately, the goal is that we all work to complete that project. We are the least egotistical architects, hopefully, that you will ever find. We want to be part of a team and do great work. Well, that doesn't happen by one person. It happens with that collaboration with the general, who in turn has that collaboration with their subs. So ultimately, we're serving one client, one owner. So essentially, that is that. I thought I would just give a very quick, brief description about what it is that an architect does, and our relationship once a project is underway. I can tell you from experience that the best thing to do, which leads me here to these networking strategies, is to consistently provide excellent service. We may say that Louisville's a big city. Yeah, right. We're trying to be, and I think with every project we're getting there. But word still travels fast, especially when you get into the circles of construction or architecture, engineering. So if you can consistently provide excellent services, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, which leads me down to almost the last one here. Be patient and be consistent. The second one, and I'm specifically talking to subcontractors here, and even general contractors, really. We have relationships with lots of different contractors on different projects, but we are always looking to expand that. We may have project experience that some contractor is looking for, or a sub may be looking for. So if you post your company sign on a job site, if the general allows it, do it, because anytime that we're on a job site, we're taking photographs, everything. So as really to what Tina said, speak up, don't be afraid. And which leads me to the next one here. Be honest about your experience and your skills, because again, word travels fast. And yeah, if somebody says, yeah, we can do that, and then they can't, well, that makes everyone look bad, because they all put their faith in you that you could do it. So just be honest. And then this fourth one here, which is my favorite, send an email. If you want to contact an architect, yeah, you can call, but by the time we get through our list of voicemails and sort out the ones that are not that important, or they're robocalls, the day's over with. So if you send an email, that is probably going to get you a reply back a lot quicker than a phone call, because a lot of times we're working in the evenings even, and we can respond via email that quickly. So that would be one of the other things I would say is send an email, reach out, don't be afraid, be patient. And if you need a list of architects that are licensed in the state of Kentucky, you can contact the Kentucky Board of Architects, and I believe they will provide you, or it may be on their website, I haven't looked in a long time, a list of their members. So you could reach out that way. My email is here at the bottom. It's steve@forzaarchitecture.com. And if there are any, after this is over, any questions you have, or if you want to introduce yourself, feel free to. It's just one of those things. We may not have the opportunity right away, but if we have your email, then certainly we'll be able to refer back to that when that opportunity does arrive. And by being patient, it'll happen. Just you have to, especially after COVID, there are so many people that want so many things at the same time that it's difficult for all of us here to, sometimes return all the phone calls in 1 week, let alone 1 day. So have faith, be patient, and I'm out of slides. So Mr. Walker, you are more than welcome if no one has any questions, or we can save them till the end. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. I don't think we have any questions at this time.
We do have a few from the
Okay.
attendees, actually. So one of them specifically pertains to you, Mr. Tracy. There are a couple of others I'm kind of saving until after our final presenter here. But this one pertains specifically to architecture. Is there such a thing as having an architect on a retainer?
Yes, we've done that several times, and that's a lot of times the best way, especially if our client doesn't have all of their funding or they don't have all of their agreements in place. We've worked on a retainer many times, and it's changes based on the scope of the project and, of course, the time frame. So yes, it does. We've done that.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Tracy. Stay on with us because
Thank
we
you.
probably have additional questions for you.
Will do.
Awesome. And I'll take back over and to introduce Mr. Walker of Greenlee and Hanson. I always like to thank you so much, Mr. Walker, for participating with us. And I also like to highlight that Greenlee and Hanson is also a partner and sponsor of the Plan Room. So we greatly appreciate that. And I will pass it on to you to give us some techniques and skills on how to best network with engineers. Thank you so much, Mr. Walker.
Thanks, Donovan and Emily, for your time in this opportunity. So, some background on Greenlee and Hanson. We're an engineering consulting firm, and we collaborate with client partners in both the public and private utilities and agencies to create better urban environments. We work primarily in the water and wastewater sector. And relative to the Kentucky area, we're actually doing some work with the Louisville Jefferson County Metropolitan Sewer District and some upgrades to their wastewater treatment facility. So I'll be bringing the engineer perspective from that sector. So if you don't mind, I'm actually going to do a screen share here.
Let me stop mine.
Yes, please.
There you go.
Okay, you can see my slide deck there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So I figured I just share some talking points as it relates to my experience here. Can we see that? Can you only see the first slide?
Yes.
Okay.
You may have to use your mouse, actually.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so just some tips and pointers. So as an engineer and a design consultant, we typically don't have a lot of interaction with the contractor until we get to the construction phase. Now, during the design phase, we're always designing with the contractor in mind in terms of constructability, level of detail. Thinking from a feasible standpoint, how would the contractor interpret the design, on our drawings? Getting to the construction phase, we may be working with the contractor in the capacity of a construction manager, where we're overseeing the project on behalf of the client, or we could be looking at a Stevens graphic with the contractor on one end and the engineer on the other, in place of the architect, where we have a direct relationship with the client, the contractor and their subs has a direct relationship with the client, and we're collaboratively working to advance the project. And with that mindset, it's really the mindset of a stakeholder, and building the culture of a working relationship, that you as a as a contractor should be mindful of. But looking at opportunities, building your brand, pursuing new opportunities, starting with positioning your firm, building your brand, and then deliver. So, as a company, as a contracting company, what's your philosophy? What's your approach to working with others, working with stakeholders? How do you collaborate with those stakeholders in terms of management style, schedule, communication, accessibility, and accountability? And when it comes to the construction phase, the term change order is a big topic. A change in design, fill conditions. Sometimes that could be perceived to be lack of understanding of the intent of the project or the design. So just being aware of that and understanding how you handle that. Visibility, building your relationships and professional platforms. That could be conferences, educational events, membership organizations, as Tina alluded to in her discussion. Attending project open houses by utilities and municipalities to understand where those opportunities arise. And so being mindful of that. What are the portals that present those opportunities down the line? And that could also be through word of mouth, which is why it's important to build your network and those professional platforms. Understanding project intent, contractual requirements, and then access to the procurement RFP portals. What are the resources available? And if you're working with a certain client, understanding the project intent and contract requirements so that you're prepared to meet that, and that is not a barrier in the progress of the actual project. In the water wastewater field, there are a variety of working situations for a project. It could be design build. You're working side by side with the engineer. It could be the traditional design bid builds, where the design happens, design, bid, and build happen in a linear process. You could be a contractor working on a program where you're working on a task order basis or an on-call basis. So there's some complications there with understanding the task order elements within a program, but also being prepared to work on a series of projects over a given amount of time. And then, from a minority small business owned perspective, being aware of a utility or municipality or city's community benefits policy, where primes are contractually required to engage with minority, women, and small business enterprises. So I saw a comment earlier in the chat about how primes are incentivized to work with MBEs and WBEs and SBEs. Well, typically and often for many municipalities and utilities, they're contractually required to do so. So there could be a minimum 10% or 30% MWBE required participation for that team. And on the design end, we're required to do that frequently as well. As a prime designer, we're required to have a minimum participation of MWBE certified businesses on the engineering side. But if you're an MBE positioning for work, it's also important to position yourself as a visible pillar of the community. So how are you engaged and connected into the community? I think that's important to communicate your values, but also stay connected to where the industry is moving. And then building your team. Does your team represent the communities that you serve? Workforce development in terms of your team, leveraging the use of job portals and community connections to expand local hiring so that your firm does have the capacity to be prepared to work on a variety of projects. And so building a career pipeline in the water industry through different design disciplines and experiences, having members of your team that have experience in construction, operations, and commissioning, and then leveraging the training and resource opportunities that are available. Through this event is a great opportunity. Looking at technical building or technical training that's available at free or low cost. having your staff members trained in the appropriate safety certifications, such as OSHA, first aid, for example, understanding permitting requirements that you'd be expected to adhere to during the construction phase, and then understanding risk management from a safety, design, and construction perspective. And Stephen mentioned this in his talk, performance. There's no better resume builder than your performance and your current projects, because your reputation carries you a long way. So with that, I'll actually, let me do a one last screen share here for my contact information. If there are any other comments you may have or want to follow up and discuss a bit further. So with that, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Walker, so much. I think we actually have a question directly to you. As an engineering consultant, does your company or is your company open to assisting contractors with the most efficient workflow solutions, whether it be scheduling, resource allocation, deployment, or procurement to pay?
I mean, I absolutely believe in that. It's critical that the engineer, construction manager, the client, and the contractor work together for an efficient process in terms of understanding design intent, resolving conditions in the field, being in agreement in terms of schedule. If we, the engineers, reviewing contractor submittals or RFIs, we all have to work together for an efficient construction project. And so there is accountability on our ends, not just all on the contractor, but for the designer as well, to be accessible, take accountability, and to work with the contractor for to be prepared for adjustments in the field, but in general for a smooth construction project.
So not to put you on the spot, but for all of the panelists who are on the call this evening, can anyone speak to an example of how your company has done that, working with a contractor or a subcontractor and sharing some of your company's resources in a way that benefits them for that particular job and perhaps even into the future?
Well, I would say the first thing to keep in mind is just communication. So we like to have kickoff meetings prior to the start of formal construction. Even during the procurement process, having a walkthrough, let's say at the facility in question, with contractors to lay out the expectations of the project, get them familiar so that they know exactly what they're bidding and what they're working on. What you may see in the drawings may look totally different than what you see in the field. So that's critically important to set the contractor up for success once you start to put shovels into the ground. I'm a big proponent of frequent communication. So whether that be reoccurring weekly progress meetings, monthly progress meetings, depends on the complexity and the duration of the project, but some reoccurring communication that holds all parties accountable to get together, discuss the issues, and work towards finding a solution.
Awesome. Anyone? Ms. Oyken, Mr. Tracy, would like to tackle that question?
Tina, I saw you nodding your head as I was talking, and you coming from the contractor field.
Yeah, I absolutely. With us being a construction management and the general contractor, we work with the architects and the engineers, and no bigger words: communication. I believe that a lot of these contractors just jump into things and maybe not see the whole scope. We've had guys that have gotten on a job and been like, well, I didn't know that was in there. You've got to keep that communication open, going to the jobs beforehand, looking at the layouts. And if you're building from the ground up, keeping your communication open, I think that's a big, huge thing that's needed.
I agree. I think you're absolutely right. And really,
They're architects and engineers, because you guys are the ones that made the image for them to be able to look at. And when I go onto our job sites, I'll see guys questioning the scope of work and looking at, well, was that supposed to be? Stop. All that engineer, that architect in there. Like, be proactive, not reactive.
Mhm. Yeah, we like getting calls or emails from, well, and used to be faxes
Yeah.
from the general contractor for RFIs, but that's where, and I agree with both of you that the communication is so key, because we're essentially spending someone else's money, and
Absolutely.
that's the client. And so, that's why it's, as I was saying earlier, these projects, we may have great ideas, we think we do, but through collaboration with a strong team, there's always a better way or a different way. So, if it's more cost effective, if the material is readily available, if it is going to save time, well, that's the best solution. And, I think that being open to communicating and collaboration is the key to a successful project, no matter what size or scope it is.
Absolutely, I agree.
Agreed.
I would like to add, because Ms. Oyken, you made a good point that I think needs to be emphasized on when we're talking about networking and networking with various groups, how volunteerism can be a great way of networking, of getting you and your business out and visible in the community, as well as getting to direct contacts with individuals like yourselves here on our panel, who may be doing some volunteer work by individually or through your business. And so I think that was a great way to really begin to volunteer. I know that certain projects, I think we had I think that was really attractive to our BIM instructor in our selection process, was his volunteer work with the community group and building local TARC stops in the community, and how those volunteer efforts can also oftentimes introduce you to new business opportunities that has a really good community benefit. So definitely want to emphasize that, and thank you for mentioning that, Ms. Orkin.
And another thing, such as yourself, with the plan room and the group that you're working with, when you're learning, share what you're learning with your predecessors that are coming along. Being proactive with the younger generation. Like, I go out to the colleges and work with our construction managers that are teaching these children. I just think building those relationships, and I have to go along with what Mr. Tracy and Mr. Walker said. It's kind of like the old saying, when you do good, it's like nobody remembers. When you do bad, and nobody forgets.
Mhm.
So always acknowledge if you do make a mistake, go back and acknowledge it, be accountable. And I mean, everybody makes mistakes and we can always learn from them, but you don't want to walk off from a job and just leave your name bad. You want to try to work with that owner to make sure, or the general contractor you're working with, if you had a guy working and he did a bad job, okay, let's work together to figure out the solution. Because being there and working to help fix those issues they're going to go a lot further than if you just leave a bad taste in someone's mouth. You're kind of done in the industry. I can't hear you.
We have a question from the chat, and this may go to all of our panelists. And this: administrative demands associated with servicing a construction contract can be difficult for smaller contractors.
Absolutely.
What suggestions would you have to best mitigate these administrative tasks regarding associated with projects?
That's kind of difficult, because I mean, we all have that. It is very, very difficult. And for us, we just find that it is, especially with the technology today, is, having an iPad, having an iPhone, or what have you, we try to do a lot of it ourselves. And it's like, I always have a rule. I try to, anything that comes on my desk, I try to touch it once and address it. And that way it's not piling up. Well, if you can see behind me, that doesn't always happen. But that being said, I don't think that there is any better way to cover yourself than by leaving a huge paper trail. So and I agree with Jason Buckner's question here. But unfortunately, I don't think I have an answer, that because we're always trying to document everything for fear of some reprisal. You just want to make sure who knew what when, and how important is it. So unfortunately, that's the other part of this is this whole industry is we have to keep lots and lots of records. I hope that answers the question. Maybe the other two panelists can add in that.
My suggestion on that, if you don't mind me on that, if you are just starting out and you're a smaller contractor, reach out to these associations and find out what help they have. I mean, that's why you join associations. And I know a lot of associations understand the small contractor starting. They will give them big discounts on dues to their associations. There are always resources, but if you get out and go to these associations when you know that they're having meetings or meet and greets, be there. Do connecting, because you will connect with someone like me who cares, and they're going to find, I have lots of resources that I work with in NAWIG and in the Minority Contractors Association, and I work with the HVAC, all the mechanical contractors, Associated Generals of Kentucky. Those associations have resources, and they have ways to help that smaller contractor to achieve some of these goals, or be able to find training with safety and stuff. I'll be glad to help on any given day.
And I would add that on our previous webinar discussing proposals and estimating, several of the panelists spoke about varying levels, both in terms of functionality and cost of software that is available. So a lot of times in terms of the administrative tasks like scheduling and tracking your team's hours, especially if it's a government or government related job and you have prevailing wage to deal with, oftentimes there are ways to lessen the time that you have to spend on those administrative tasks through new softwares. So feel free to reach out to our team at the plan room, or any of our panelists. I'm sure they all use a variety of different softwares, but we're also happy to work with business owners on what software solutions are a good fit for your company.
Thank you for mentioning that, Ms. Dixon, because I was going to kind of make emphasis on networking. And not only is networking good to find new business leads, but it could be a great way to find new business practices, new business industry trends, and new technologies that could be useful in helping you grow your business. So thank you for mentioning that as well.
We've also had a question come in on Facebook, and I believe this is for all of the panelists, but do you do any work in cooperative developments? So developments with cooperative ownership models? And if you have not, would you be interested?
Yeah. Yeah, I've not done something like that in my experience. I think in the sense of understanding what a cooperative is, that could possibly occur in a design build type of project, where a firm or a joint venture is handling the design and the construction. But that would really depend on the area where the project is happening, whether that's allowed, and then the magnitude and complexity of the project. But if that cooperative based relationship is happening, then that likely already exists, and there's a level of trust there.
Right.
I would agree.
I think building completely is a collaborative and cooperative with all the parties involved, from your architects, your engineers, your owners, your construction management down to your subs, the whole. So yes, I would agree with you completely.
And if I also may add, because definitely was, emphasis on joining and participating with various trade and organizations. But I would also add that it was also good to maybe also network and be a part of your neighborhood association as well. They do a lot of neighborhood advocacy that oftentimes end up into new business opportunities. I know here I am an advocate for Chickasaw, and we did a lot of advocacy for the improvements of the Chickasaw Park. And as a result, that ends up to be new business opportunities for individuals. So by being part of your neighborhood group and finding out what issues they may have may be a good way on identifying new business opportunities in the area as well.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because even looking from the perspective of a contracting firm that's looking to build a team, I think it's also a gateway to potential workforce development. In particular in the water industry, where there's a huge need for an investment in infrastructure on the design and construction side. And having that connection to your community is also a pathway to help people get jobs and reduce those barriers. For those that may not have an idea of what particular industry your construction firm is involved in, that's also an opportunity to build that bridge. So you're a pillar in supporting your community in a variety of ways, through civic engagement, through presence and boots on the ground, but also providing opportunities for others that may not have had that opportunity to be a part of something bigger.
Thank you.
So this question relates to the topic of networking with the idea of advocacy as a goal. So what are some strategies for influencing owners, developers, and municipalities to make their MBE goals more of a mandate versus a goal? In other words, how do we put some teeth behind these policies that are being set up?
I can add a little bit to that. I think that historically there has been very negative perceptions about what minority means and what the skill set is. And I think that, I'm living proof that someone who doesn't look Puerto Rican, but who is Puerto Rican, who is a minority company, a minority person, can do great things. And I think that by trying to show that there's so much hidden talent out there, and all we need is a chance. We're not asking for a handout, we just want a chance. And we may not be as connected as maybe another firm or another contractor, but if you give us a chance, it feels like sometimes we have more to prove rather than just completing the job. And I would say that they would benefit, they being the owner, the client, would benefit by opening up this whole avenue of incredible talent that and probably better pricing. Just because, I know it's happened even to us. Sometimes we've even reduced our fees just to get a project to prove, look, we can do this, just like some of these larger companies that are charging you a whole lot more, but they're not personally involved. So that's sort of a long-winded way of saying, if you don't have anything that you have built, designed, or participated in, then when the opportunity presents itself, is just to, let them know they're missing out. And, and this is specifically directed to perhaps owners, clients that don't have any incentives in their funding or, for that project. That's the only way that we can do it, is say, look, we have people who are excellent at what they do. Give them a chance.
And you're more likely to
That's-
find that mandate on a municipal level, because
Yeah.
I do know there are municipalities that require that minimum NWBE engagement. I would certainly make the argument to those that don't have the mandate, but rather a goal to communicate the cost of not investing in this type of strategy and and policy, to open up the opportunity for others to grow. It's
Agreed.
merely the opportunity and seat at the table, for someone to grow from an economic standpoint, which in turn invests back into that community or area being serviced. So it actually puts the owner, developer, potentially the municipality at a disadvantage by not mandating this diverse inclusion of a variety of different contractors, so that there is there are choices, there are different opportunities, and then there is in turn an opportunity for more diverse firms to have a piece of that pie, and thus have your local area grow and prosper.
All right, thank you. I think we have actually reached the end of our webinar, and I would like to thank you guys so much for our panelists, Ms. Oykin, Mr. Tracy, and Mr. Walker, for participating and providing us some great information on networking
Thank you.
strategies, on building our businesses, and helping us out here at the plan room. We greatly appreciate that. We're looking forward to maybe continuing our good relationship with you guys, and maybe partnering in the future on another project as well. And thanks for our participants who have tuned in today. Hopefully this webinar has been very useful for you on finding strategies and ways to expand your business. I would like to say definitely these are good ways and good points that have been made, and I would definitely like to share that. This information will be shared, this video is recorded and will be shared with our participants, as well as our speaker contact information and some general Q&A questions that have been developed from this webinar to share with you and provide you those resources. If you have any questions, concerns, definitely reach out and connect with us at the plan room. If you're an existing business in the construction industry, we definitely welcome you to visit our website at www.theplanroom.org and scroll down to become a plan room client. And I will be reaching out to you and following up with you on the client intake and looking to find ways and reaching your business goals and improving our local economy. I greatly appreciate, again, I'm just so excited and greatly appreciate you, Tina Oykin, for joining us, Mrs. Stephen Tracy, and Walker from all the way from New York City. So thank you guys very, very much. And if you have any closing remarks, you're welcome to do so.
I just want to thank you, gentlemen, for opening up the discussion and making this available for the contractors out there to be able to network together via Zoom right now. Emily, you and Donovan have been great. If there's anything I can do to help your association or any of your members, feel free to give me a call. You've got my email. Mr. Tracy, Mr. Walker, it was a pleasure meeting.
Likewise. Thank you.
Same here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful Wednesday and a great rest of your
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Goodbye.